It begins with Anna lying awake next to Derek. The silence is too loud. Rain whispers against the windows, a sound she used to find comforting. Lately, it just marks time, hours lost to wondering who they've become. That morning, she discovers something odd, a second phone in Derek's coat pocket. It's locked. She doesn't say anything immediately. Instead, she begins to observe more carefully. Late nights, sudden texts, moments where Derek drifts away mid-conversation. Their dinners are mechanical. Conversations about their daughter, finances, work, never them. She wonders when the silence became permanent. Chapter 2. The other life Anna confides in Eli. He's attentive, listens with a gentleness Derek lacks. There's no physical line crossed, but emotional intimacy builds quickly. Still, Anna wrestles with guilt, unsure if she's seeking comfort or escape. Meanwhile, Derek is visibly distracted. He's hiding something. A text flashes on the second phone. "You promised you'd tell her." T. That night, Anna follows Derek after he says he has a late meeting. He meets Tess outside a hotel. They don't kiss, but their familiarity is unmistakable. Anna snaps a photo, her hands trembling. Chapter 3. The confrontation. Anna doesn't confront him with rage. Instead, she prints the photo and leaves it in an envelope on his pillow. The next morning, Derek sits at the table, pale and silent. "It was once," he finally says. "With Tess. It was a mistake. I ended it months ago. She threatened to tell you." Anna's voice barely rises. "Why didn't you?" Derek looks hollow. "Because I thought I could bury it. I didn't want to lose everything." "You already have," she replies, but her tone lacks fury. "It's worse. It's numb." Chapter 4. Under the surface, as Anna spirals between devastation and introspection, Sophie grows more distant. She's skipping classes, coming home late. Anna realizes she's not the only one drifting. Eli encourages her to confront the root of the problem rather than just the symptoms. Meanwhile, Derek receives a call. Tess has been arrested for embezzling from their firm. A police investigator, Detective Alyssa Kramer, reaches out to Anna. Tess listed Derek as someone who may have benefited unknowingly from the funds. Anna is drawn into the investigation. Secrets come to light. Derek may have unwittingly signed documents that moved illicit funds, or perhaps not so unwittingly. His silence becomes suspicious. Chapter 5. The cracks. White and Anna and Derek attend a tense dinner at Eli's suggestion, his idea of neutral ground. The conversation is clipped, but honest. Derek admits he's been lost since his mother's death a year ago. He says he felt like a ghost in their marriage. Anna listens but doesn't absolve. "You don't cheat because you're unhappy. You cheat because you don't speak. And I stopped speaking too." Meanwhile, the detective's findings put Derek under scrutiny. He's suspended from his firm. Their accounts are frozen. The betrayal now has financial consequences. Chapter 6. The choice, as. The walls close in. Anna faces a decision. Eli offers a different kind of intimacy, but it's built on the ruins of another relationship. Sophie, sensing everything, finally erupts in tears. "If you break this, what happens to me?" Anna is torn between revenge, forgiveness, and escape. Derek finally opens up, not perfectly, but with honesty. He tells Anna he never loved Tess, that he self-sabotaged because he didn't know how to feel worthy of what they had. "I don't know how to fix this," he says. "Maybe we don't fix it," she replies. "Maybe we just learn to live in the truth." Epilogue. The quiet between months pass. The investigation clears Derek, though his reputation is stained. Anna has moved into the guest room. Divorce papers sit unsigned in a drawer. They go to therapy, Not together, not yet, but separately. They speak now, not often, but with effort. Anna walks through the house one rainy afternoon and pauses in the kitchen, watching Derek make tea for Sophie. He catches her gaze. She doesn't look away. There's something there, not forgiveness. Not yet, but maybe the start of truth. Ending, open and bittersweet. The story ends with Anna opening the front door to Eli, who has stopped by to return a book. She smiles softly, thanks him, but doesn't invite him in. Inside, Derek is folding laundry, awkwardly humming. Sophie is upstairs, music faint behind her door. The house isn't healed, but it's honest, and that's something. Anna watches Eli at the door, the book. The Things We Leave Behind, tucked under his arm. His fingers brush hers as he hands it over, and for a fleeting moment, a warmth passes between them that feels like both comfort and temptation. "You okay?" he asks. Anna nods but doesn't speak. Her voice feels unreliable lately. She offers a small, grateful smile, then steps back and closes the door slowly. Not rudely, just with finality. Inside, the quiet hum of the dryer and Derek's off-key humming feels strangely grounding. It isn't affection she feels. It's something more tenuous. Responsibility? Residual love? She's not sure anymore. She leans against the door, closes her eyes, and breathes deeply. Scene 2. Confession and Exposure. The next day, Anna finds herself sitting across from Detective Alyssa Kramer again. The investigation into Tess Harding continues. The detective mentions that Tess had copies of firm documents signed by Derek, signatures under suspicious transactions. He claims he didn't know, Alyssa says. Do you believe him? Anna hesitates. I believe he didn't want to know. That's different. She doesn't volunteer more. But the implication lingers. Derek's greatest betrayal may not have been Tess. It may have been his silence, his detachment, his willingness to close his eyes and coast through life on autopilot, even if it meant steering their marriage into a wall. Scene 3. Parallel Solitude. That night, Anna writes a letter in her journal addressed to no one. There was a time when Derek would touch the small of my back in grocery stores. For no reason. Just because I was his. And I felt it. I haven't felt anything in years, and I can't decide if that's his fault or mine. She sees Derek through the reflection of the hallway mirror. He's staring at a childhood photo of Sophie, eyes red. Not crying, but close. They both live in the same house now, like survivors of a shipwreck, floating in different corners of the same raft. Sophie notices, too. She started eating dinner alone in her room again, headphones always on. When Anna brings her a plate, she finally speaks. Are you leaving him? Anna sighs. I don't know. Why not? Because life's not a clean break, sweetheart. It's layers, and I'm still peeling. Scene 4. Lines in the sand. Derek and Anna agree to attend a therapy session together. Just one. The room is bright, warm, decorated with neutral tones and abstract paintings. The therapist, a middle-aged man with a calm demeanor, says little at first. Anna talks about betrayal, about how Derek vanished long before Tess. Derek listens, jaw clenched, but finally speaks. I didn't cheat to hurt her. I cheated because I already thought I'd lost her. And Tess, she didn't expect anything from me. Anna replies, her voice steady. That's exactly why it meant nothing. You gave your worst self to someone because she didn't care who you were. I stayed. I cared. I was asking for more. And you gave her your escape. There's a silence that fills the room like fog. Scene 5. Sophie's spiral. Meanwhile, Sophie gets into a fight at school. Anna is called in. The principal explains that she lashed out after someone made a joke about her dad getting fired for laundering money. Anna drives her home in silence. Sophie finally breaks. Everyone's whispering, "I hate both of you for making me live in this lie. You're pretending everything's okay when it's not." At home, Derek attempts to console her but is met with slammed doors. Later that night, Anna and Derek sit on opposite ends of the couch. "She's falling apart," he says. "We all are," Anna replies, "but we can't fake hole ourselves back together." Scene 6. The letter weeks later, Derek leaves a letter on Anna's pillow. It reads, "I know I broke something. Maybe it wasn't love itself. Maybe just your ability to trust me with it. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wouldn't. But I want to be the man who's worthy of it again. Not because I deserve it, but because you're still the only person whose opinion of me matters." Anna rereads it 4 times. She doesn't cry. She simply sits at the edge of the bed and stares out the window as rain returns to Portland's skyline. Soft, rhythmic, merciless in its routine. Scene 7. Ambiguous horizons. Spring arrives with subtle signs. Blossoms. On the street trees, lighter evenings. Anna begins volunteering at a local adult literacy program. Derek starts consulting for a nonprofit, pro bono. They're rebuilding, not as a couple necessarily, but as individuals who once shared a life and still share a daughter. At Sophie's school recital, they sit beside each other, not touching, not together, but aligned. Afterward, she walks between them, linking arms with both. Final scene, the unsaid at home. Anna tucks Sophie in and walks to the kitchen where Derek is quietly washing dishes. "I read your letter," she says softly. "I know," he replies, a pause. "We'll never be the same," she continues. "But maybe we can still be us, in a different way." He nods. "I'd like that." Anna doesn't say she forgives him. Derek doesn't ask. The wounds are still raw, but the house feels warmer now, not healed, but no longer haunted. Final paragraph. That night, Anna returns to her journal and writes, "There is a quiet between us now, not the kind that drowns or suffocates, but the kind that listens. I think that's what healing sounds like. Not words, but the space we make for them." She closes the book, turns off the light, and listens. To the silence. This time it's almost peaceful. 2 months later, Derek sits alone on a bench outside Multnomah County Courthouse. He's been summoned as a witness in the ongoing fraud trial against Tess Harding. The courtroom is sterile, cold, far removed from the late nights, whiskey, and whispers they once shared behind firm walls. He takes the stand and tells the truth. "Tess asked me to sign documents. I didn't read them. I wanted to believe it was nothing. I didn't want to ask questions that might force me to care." The prosecutor raises a brow. "You were married, you had a child, but you didn't want to care?" "I was already failing as a husband," Derek says. "Tess made it easy to forget that." In the gallery, Anna watches without expression, but inside, she's screaming. Not in rage, in recognition. She realizes Derek's betrayal didn't come from passion. It came from rot, from laziness, from avoidance. That, somehow, feels worse. Scene 9. Sophie's secret. Sophie's grades are slipping. Anna finds a vape pen in her backpack and confronts her in the kitchen. "I'm not doing drugs, okay? It's just nicotine." "Sophie, this isn't you. You don't know who I am." The words land hard. "You've been so focused on Dad cheating or going to jail or reading your sad little journals that you forgot I exist." Anna freezes. "That's not true." "Then why does it feel like it?" That night, Anna cries for the first time in months. Not because she's angry, but because Sophie's right. Not about the neglect, but about the fracture that no one's been brave enough to name: grief. Not over a person, but over what their family used to be. Scene 10. Temptation and Closure. A week later, Eli invites Anna to a gallery opening downtown. He doesn't push, just hands her a ticket and says, "You used to love color." She goes. They sip wine under dim lights and stare at brutalist sculptures and abstract paintings. One piece is a shattered mirror wrapped in barbed wire. "It's called Reflection Interrupted," Eli says. Anna smiles. "Sounds about right." Later, he walks her to her car. It's raining. The space between them brims with old desire and new guilt. "I want you to be happy," Eli says. "Even if it's not with me." Anna's eyes well up. "I don't even know what that means anymore." He touches her hand, briefly, then walks away without looking back. She never tells Derek about the night, but in her journal she writes, "Not all betrayals are loud. Some are just paused. Possibilities." Scene 11. The letter from prison Tess writes Derek a letter from jail. It's strangely polite. "You always were decent, just weak. I'm not angry. I used you because I could. We were both running from the same thing, our own irrelevance." Anna finds it in the trash, but doesn't mention it. She just burns it in the fireplace while Derek sleeps upstairs. Some endings don't need closure, just combustion. Scene 12. Counseling. Breakthrough back in therapy, Anna and Derek are finally honest. "You broke us," Anna says. "But I let it happen. I built a wall around my hurt and dared you to knock it down. You never did. You found someone who didn't ask you to climb anything." Derek nods. "I was a coward. I thought numb was safer than sorry." "So what now?" she asks. "Maybe we rebuild with lower walls, more windows." She laughs softly. Not at the metaphor, but at the possibility. Scene 13. Bittersweet Peace. 6 months later, Derek moves into a small apartment a few blocks away. Not as punishment, but as breathing room. They still share dinners, still argue about Sophie's curfew, still watch the occasional movie with old comfort. But there are boundaries now, respected like fragile glass. Sophie begins seeing her own therapist. She journals, she gets into art. Her work is raw, unfinished, and that's okay. Anna no longer writes in her old journal. She started something new, a memoir, a novel, she doesn't know yet. But she's writing in the open now, not behind locked doors. Final scene, the choice. Unmade. On a Sunday morning, Anna stands in the kitchen, hands wrapped around a warm coffee mug, watching Derek help Sophie fix the broken leg on a chair. They're laughing. It's the first genuine sound she's heard from them in a long time. She thinks, we were never perfect. But we were real. Her phone buzzes. Eli. Just a, "Hey, hope you're well." She types and deletes a reply, then sets the phone down. Outside, the rain has stopped. The city glows damp and alive. She walks outside, barefoot on the porch. Breathes. In deep. There are no answers here, just choices. And for once, Anna doesn't rush to make one. Ending note. The quiet between us doesn't promise reconciliation or punishment. It ends in the in-between, the most human place of all. The story leaves you not with certainty, but with questions. It's late. Derek's on Sophie duty for the weekend. She sits cross-legged on the couch, eating cereal at midnight, watching some true crime docuseries with glazed eyes. He finally asks, "Why the sudden obsession with murder shows?" She shrugs. "At least they tell you who did it?" He lets out a short laugh, but it dies quickly. There's silence. Then she says it, soft, cautious, like testing the air. "I knew before Mom did. About Tess." Derek looks up sharply. "You what?" "The texts. I saw them months ago. I didn't say anything because I thought you'd leave, and I didn't want us to break." Tears prick his eyes before he even realizes they're coming. He reaches for her hand, and for once, she lets him. "I'm sorry," he whispers. "You shouldn't have had to carry that." Neither should you. They sit in the flicker. Of the screen, two people scarred by the same secret, one who committed it and one who tried to protect him from it. Scene 15. The email Anna gets an encrypted email from Tess's former paralegal, someone anonymous. There are other names, other people she pulled into her schemes, including your husband. Maybe he wasn't just a bystander. Attached is a spreadsheet, offshore accounts, traces of Derek's name linked to consulting payments during his work with the Arts Foundation. Anna's hand shakes. She's seen enough corruption cases to know how easy it is to look clean while standing in the mud. Did you know? She asks Derek that evening, holding up a printout. He stares at it for a long time. His voice is hollow. I didn't know where the money came from. I told myself not to ask. I thought it was patronage. You know how the nonprofit world works. You play nice, people pay you to show up. So you did benefit. Unwittingly, she almost believes him, but almost is a heavy thing to carry in a marriage. Scene 16. Lines drawn, Anna starts sleeping in Sophie's room while Derek stays in the guest room downstairs. The quiet grows dense, not angry, just exhausted. Conversations become utilitarian. Who's picking up Sophie? Who's paying the phone bill? Who's signing the field trip waiver? Sophie notices, of course. You're not even fighting anymore, she says one day at breakfast. That's worse than yelling. She's not wrong. Scene 17. Eli returns. Eli shows up again, not with flowers, but with a publishing contact. You're a good writer, Anna. I showed your journal pages to someone. She's interested. You had no right. You're right, I didn't. But you needed to be reminded you exist beyond what he did. For a long moment, she says nothing. Then, if I become a writer, it won't be because I was broken. It'll be because I crawled through the wreckage. Then let me be the one who hands you a flashlight. She doesn't answer, but she keeps the card he gives her. Scene 18. A different kind of betrayal. The paralegal goes public. Headlines splash across the local news. Accomplices in plain sight. Harding trial reveals nonprofit ties. Derek is named, albeit subtly, not charged, but implicated. He's fired from the arts board. Sponsors pull out. Friends stop calling Darren. Bed that night, Anna says, You always thought my silence was cruelty, but I was carrying us. I know, Derek says, voice brittle. You still are. They don't sleep. They just lay beside each other, eyes open to the ceiling, wondering who the other person became when they stopped watching. Scene 19. The choice Sophie's art wins a regional prize, a raw, mixed-media sculpture called The Fault Line. It's jagged, beautiful, unfinished. They go to her show together, standing awkwardly on either side of her. People congratulate them like they're still a family. Maybe they still are. Afterward, Derek says, If you want me to leave for good, I will. Anna considers it. I don't want to make a decision based on guilt or fear or obligation. Then what's left? Love, if it's still real. Forgiveness, if it's possible. A beat. Is it? She doesn't say yes. She doesn't say no. She just takes his hand and holds it, lightly, not tightly, like something she might still let go of. Final scene. A house in transition. The guest room is empty now. Derek's things are gone. He's rented a small house nearby. They don't call it a separation. They call it a season of pause. Anna starts writing her book, tentatively titled The Quiet Between Us. Sophie paints a mural in her bedroom. A fractured landscape stitched with gold leaf like Japanese kintsugi. And some nights, Derek comes over. Not as a husband, not as a stranger, but as someone rebuilding trust in inches. Sometimes they eat dinner together, sometimes they don't speak, and sometimes that's enough. Ending reflection. The betrayal didn't break them. The silence did. And now, maybe, the quiet will heal them too. Anna writes in the mornings now. The quiet before Sophie wakes and the world expects her to be anything other than a woman piecing herself back together. The book isn't about Tess, not really. It's about the way trust erodes over time. About how silence can be louder than confession. It's fiction. Barely. But the pain in it is real. One morning, she stares at a sentence too long. Forgiveness is less a door than a hallway, long, dim, full of echoes. She can't decide if she believes it, but she writes it anyway. Scene 21. Derek. Reconstruction. Derek's rental smells like new paint and something faintly musty, like regret that's had time to settle. He joins a local youth center as a volunteer art teacher. No salary, just structure. He doesn't talk about the scandal. When people recognize him, they pretend not to. He's grateful for that. Late one night, he scrolls through photos of him, Anna, and Sophie at a beach from years ago, pre-affair, pre-scandal. There's one where Anna's laughing, eyes closed, mouth wide, arms flung around Sophie. He wants to believe that woman still exists, and that somehow she could love him again. But when he visits the house now, they hug like neighbors. Scene 22. Sophie. The fallout at school. Sophie is known now as the Harding girl. No one says it directly, but whispers sting, more when they're half heard. One day, her teacher pulls her aside after class. "Is everything okay at home?" Sophie stares at her, wonders what she's supposed to say, wonders how to explain that home is now multiple places, none of them steady. Later that week, she asks Anna, "What happens if I don't forgive either of you?" Anna looks at her daughter and answers honestly, "Then you don't. You get to decide that." Sophie nods, but the answer makes her cry. Scene 23. The push from Eli texts Anna again. His publisher is serious. She wants a full manuscript. Anna hesitates. Finishing the book feels like closing a door, and she's not sure which side she wants to be on. Eli calls instead. "This isn't about me anymore, Anna. You have something to say. Say it, even if it terrifies you." She thinks of Tess, of the betrayal, of the years she didn't scream, didn't rage, didn't leave. And then she thinks of how writing has let her bleed without anyone watching. "Okay," she says. "Tell her I'll finish it." Scene 24. A letter. Found Sophie finds a letter in Derek's old nightstand drawer at the house. It's addressed to Anna. Unsent, handwritten. The date on it is from weeks ago. "I keep waiting for you to hate me because it would make sense of all this. But you don't. You just keep living around me like a ghost. I'd almost prefer shouting to this quiet. I love you, Anna, but I know that might not be the right thing to say anymore. Still, if it matters, I never stopped, not even when I was at my worst." Sophie doesn't tell either of them she read it, but that night she hugs her father longer than usual. Scene 25. Anna. Dinner table dissonance. They try dinner again. Derek brings takeout. Sophie's quiet, but not cold. Anna opens a bottle of wine she once saved for anniversaries. There's laughter, real and unexpected, when Derek spills soy sauce on his shirt and Sophie roasts him mercilessly. For a moment, it's like nothing. Broke. Then the laughter fades, and the silence comes again, but it's not the old silence, heavy with things unsaid. This one feels tentative, fragile, like maybe beneath it, something is trying to grow. Scene 26. The final reading months. Later, Anna reads from her finished manuscript at a small bookstore. The room is packed, some faces familiar, some not. Derek is there, Sophie too. Eli stands in the back, arms crossed like someone guarding a memory. Anna reads the last paragraph slowly. I thought forgiveness was something you gave when someone apologized enough. But I've learned it's quieter than that, more personal. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means living without bleeding every time you remember. And sometimes that's all we can ask for. Silence follows, then applause. Derek looks at her like he's seeing a new version of the woman he once broke. And Anna looks back, not with bitterness, not with longing, but with clarity. They may never return to what they were, but maybe, just maybe, they can become something else. Final scene, the quiet between us, revisited spring. Sophie's mural is finished. Gold leaf gleams through the cracks she painted deliberately. Anna visits Derek's place with coffee. He smiles, surprised. They sit on the porch, no plans, no labels, just two people watching the world soften again. The silence between them is still there, but now it's warm. Ending note. Not every marriage survives betrayal. Not every love survives the truth. But sometimes the survivors do, and sometimes they choose to stay anyway. The morning is soft with rain. Anna stands in front of a bookstore window, her book featured in the display. The title, What We Survive. It's sold modestly, earned reviews that describe it as unflinching, intimate, and haunting. One critic called it a story about infidelity that becomes a meditation on identity, motherhood, and memory. Anna didn't reply to that review, but she clipped it and tucked it into her journal. She hasn't moved back in with Derek. But, she hasn't filed for divorce either. Some days she thinks that's cowardice. Other days, she thinks it's grace. Scene. Derek's new apartment. Derek's walls are no longer bare. Photos of Sophie hang next to one of Anna, taken years ago when she didn't know he was watching her sketch on the porch. He never told her he kept that picture. He's still at the youth center. The kids call him Mr. D. Some of them don't care who he was. Some do, and ask pointed questions. He never lies. He still meets Anna for coffee every other Sunday. Sometimes they talk about Sophie, sometimes about books. Once they almost kissed, but Anna pulled away first, whispering, I need to know who I am without needing to be loved by you. He didn't ask for more. Scene. Sophie's room. Sophie is 14 now. She writes poetry, scrawled into the corners of her sketchbooks. Some of it is angry, some confused, some piercingly beautiful. She doesn't talk much about the year everything fell apart. But one evening, during dinner with both her parents, she says casually, It's weird, but I kind of like that you guys are apart. You talk more now. Anna and Derek exchange glances, bittersweet, sharp with truth. We're still figuring things out, Anna says. You always are. Sophie shrugs, smirking. At least now you admit it. Scene. The choice not made. Eli calls less these days. He moved to Portland with someone new. Before he left, he hugged Anna tightly and whispered, I hope you find what peace looks like for you. She never told him how close she came to leaving everything behind for him. But when she finishes a new chapter, she still wonders what he would think. Scene. The bench hits early autumn. The bench where Derek proposed years ago in another life is still there in Lincoln Park. Anna walks there alone one Sunday morning, coffee in hand. She stares at the empty bench for a long time. She sits, waits. Derek appears 20 minutes later, winded from a jog, surprised but not startled. Hey, he says. Hi. He sits beside her. There's a long, comfortable silence. I thought you didn't come here anymore, he says finally. I didn't, she answers, but I guess I wanted to see if it still hurt. Does it? She watches the trees. Yellow leaves falling in slow spirals. A little, but not in the same way. He nods. She looks at him. I don't know what we're doing, Derek. Neither do I. But I think I'm okay with that. They sit in the quiet. No declarations. No clean resolution. Just two people who loved, broke, hurt, and are still learning how to be in each other's orbit. Maybe not whole, but honest. Final paragraph. There is no neat ending, only choices, forgiveness measured in inches, and the quiet that remains between two people who once knew everything about each other and are now trying to know themselves. Sophie stands in the hallway of her high school, waiting for college interview callbacks. Her hands are ink-smudged from the pen she always chews. She wrote her essay on fractures, not bones, but people. I come from a home that cracked and held, she wrote. Not perfect, not whole, but still standing. Some days I think that's enough. Her guidance counselor said it was too abstract. Her English teacher said it was brave. She submitted it anyway. Scene, Anna. The call Anna watches Sophie leave for school from the kitchen window, mug in hand, hair grayer than it was 3 years ago, smile softer. She still lives in the same house. Derek never moved back in, but he's become a Saturday fixture, sometimes Sunday too. Their marriage never officially resumed, but neither ended it. Occasionally, someone asks if they're together again, and she answers, "We're something that doesn't need a label anymore." That morning, she receives a call. Her next novel, The Blue Stillness, has been shortlisted for a major literary award. She doesn't tell Derek right away, or Sophie. Instead, she walks out to the garden and sits on the bench they restored together. The weeds are back. Some things need constant tending. Scene, Derek. The studio Derek teaches full-time now at a local community college. His lectures are practical, but the students like his honesty. He often begins class with a confession. There's no such thing as a clean line in art, only the illusion of one. He speaks from experience. He still carries a folded letter in his wallet. Anna wrote it the year after everything fell apart. It said simply, "I don't forgive you because you deserve it. I forgive you because I need the space to become someone who no longer bleeds when your name is spoken." He almost threw it away once. He's glad he didn't. Scene, Sophie. The interview at. Her final interview, the admissions officer asks, "You wrote about brokenness like it's something beautiful. Why?" Sophie smiles, unsure if it's defiance or vulnerability. "Because it's honest. My parents, they didn't pretend after the fall, and I learned more from watching them try than I ever did from fairy tales." "Do you think they were brave?" "No," she says after a long pause. "I think they were human, but maybe that's braver." Scene. The unexpected visitor one evening, Sophie opens the front door and finds a woman standing there. Late 40s, nervous, dressed like someone who once had power and doesn't know what to do without it. It's Tess. Anna appears in the doorway behind Sophie, sharp intake of breath frozen on her lips. Tess doesn't make excuses. "I came to say, I'm sorry," she says. "I don't want anything, I just wanted you to hear it." Anna stares at her. The air is thick with old, unsaid things. Sophie watches her mother, not angry, not cold, just still. After a long silence, Anna says, "I already forgave you, years ago." "Then why do I still feel like this?" "Because forgiveness doesn't erase guilt. That's your work, not mine." Tess nods, eyes glassy. She leaves without another word. Sophie doesn't ask who she was until later. When Anna finally tells her, Sophie just says, "That's the woman who made you write like that?" Anna laughs, a tired, real laugh. "Yes. And maybe that's the only good thing she ever gave me." Final scene, the porch a warm summer night. Derek, Anna, and Sophie sit on the porch with wine, tea, and soda. No declarations, no ghosts, just laughter that comes easy now, a comfort that doesn't need rebuilding. "You know," Derek says, never did decide what we are. We're survivors, Anna says. Sophie adds, smirking. We're a slow-burning plot twist. And they all laugh, long and deep and whole. Final paragraph. In the end, the house didn't collapse. It bent. It creaked. It took on water. But it stood. And those inside learned not just how to stay, but how to live honestly within the cracks. This is not an attempt at redemption, just revelation. A character study in moral ambiguity, loneliness, and what it means to destroy something without fully understanding why. Chapter: Tess, What's Left. After fire, Tess hadn't meant to fall for Derek. But she hadn't meant not to either. It started in the easy silences, the meetings that ran late, the way he listened, not out of obligation, like her ex-husband, but with the full presence of a man who saw her as someone worth being heard. She didn't sleep with Derek to ruin Anna. At least, that's what she told herself back then. Now, 3 years later, she's not sure she believes that lie anymore. Scene: Tess's apartment. Present day, her apartment is expensive, modern, cold. Concrete walls, brushed steel. Nothing soft. The kind of place designed for someone who doesn't expect to stay. She lives alone. The man she left her marriage for, Derek, didn't follow her, didn't chase her, didn't even return the last call she made after everything exploded. He did what she didn't think he would. He chose the wreckage. She never told anyone that after the affair ended, she'd had a panic attack in the middle of a gallery opening, right under a glass sculpture titled Conscience. The irony wasn't lost on her. Scene: Therapy. 6 months ago, her therapist asked, "Why did you fall for a married man?" Tess rolled her eyes, the kind of question you expect from a screenwriter. Because he saw me. Because he made me feel clean. And did you? For a while, until I didn't. Scene: The letter. She never sent. She wrote Anna a letter once, never sent it. It sits in a locked drawer under bills and expired insurance forms. It reads, "Anna, I know saying sorry doesn't rewind time, but I do want you to know I didn't enter his life to ruin yours. I told myself we were both lonely. But the truth is, I envied you. I envied the way he spoke about you, even when he didn't realize he was. And maybe I wanted to be the person he looked at like that, even if it meant stealing a little of what was never mine. I hope you healed. I hope you write something beautiful from the wreckage." Tess scene. The visit, revisited, from Tess's eyes. When she stood on Anna's doorstep, knees weak, throat dry, she expected the door to slam. Instead, Sophie had opened it. God, she looked like Anna, but fiercer, sharper. She wanted to say something kind to her, couldn't find the words. Then Anna stepped forward, so calm it felt like violence. "I already forgave you." Tess had blinked. That wasn't the script. Forgiveness? After all that? "Then why do I still feel like this?" she asked, voice trembling. Anna's response had been quiet, final. "Because forgiveness doesn't erase guilt. That's your work, not mine." That night, Tess cried until she tasted metal, not out of self-pity, though there was some of that, but because she finally understood what it meant to break something sacred and be handed the shards without being told how to carry them. Scene: The studio wall. Tess still paints. Not for galleries, anymore. Not for ego, just for the silence. Her latest piece is untitled, Charcoal and Oil on Wood. It shows a figure standing in the middle of a room that's both on fire and underwater. You can't tell if they're burning or drowning. A critic might call it a metaphor for guilt. She just calls it truth. Final paragraph. Some betrayals aren't born from hatred, but hunger. a desperate ache to feel seen, chosen, desired. Tess was all of those things once, and now she is something else. A woman learning how to live with the echo of choices she can never undo. Scene, June, Sophie's graduation ceremony. The auditorium hums with chatter, camera shutters, and the rustle of folding programs. Parents, siblings, partners, all dressed for closure. It's the kind of day people tell themselves marks a beginning, though everyone knows it's mostly an ending. Anna sits in the middle row, edge seat, hands clasped tightly in her lap. She's wearing the necklace Sophie gave her last Christmas, a small silver quill, a nod to her writing, and maybe forgiveness. Derek sits beside her, awkward in a suit that fits tighter than it did 3 years ago. They didn't drive together, but they sat together. Small steps. Neither of them has spoken much, but they exchange glances when Sophie's name echoes through the loudspeaker. Sophie Catherine Hartman, honors graduate, editor-in-chief of I, the literary review. She walks the stage with measured steps, head high, eyes calm. No trembling. She takes her diploma like someone who's worked not just for grades, but for clarity. Anna claps first. Derek follows. The clapping is brief, respectful, proud, and then Tess arrives, late, on purpose. Scene, the awkward after outside. The sun is merciless. Parents huddle under trees and tents. Anna and Derek wait near the main path, not knowing if Sophie wants photos, a meal, or space. Then Tess approaches from behind the crowd, unsure whether to stay or go. She wears black, always black. She hasn't seen Derek in 3 years, not since the fallout. He notices her first. "She's here," he says to Anna without turning his head. Anna doesn't ask who. She knows. Tess doesn't move closer. She keeps her distance like a ghost who knows the haunting is over. She's holding a small, wrapped box, no card. Sophie sees her and pauses. A long, unreadable pause. Then she walks over. Scene, Tess and Sophie. Tess offers the box without a word. Inside is a fountain pen, vintage, engraved with Sophie's initials. The kind of gift that says, "I remember you write things, and I hope you still will." Sophie holds it in her hands but doesn't open it. "You didn't have to come," she says. "I know. But you did. I owed you that much." Sophie looks over her shoulder at her parents, now speaking quietly, not watching. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you." Tess swallows. "You don't owe me anything, Sophie. I just wanted you to know I think you're extraordinary. Not in spite of what happened. Maybe because of it." Sophie studies her for a moment, then nods. Not forgiveness, not approval, but maybe the start of understanding. She turns and walks back toward her parents. Tess stays behind. Scene. The family photo. Anna, Derek, and Sophie stand in the sunlight. A student photographer offers to take their photo. They hesitate, just a fraction of a second, but agree. They don't touch shoulders, but they stand close enough. The camera clicks. This, Sophie thinks, is what survival looks like. Not perfection, not erasure, but people standing in the sun, scarred and upright. Final paragraph. Later that night, Sophie writes in her journal, "There's a silence that follows betrayal, a quiet so wide you think you'll never fill it. But then, someone says your name, and someone answers your question honestly, and someone hands you a pen and says, 'Write what's true, even if it hurts.' And so she does." Scene. Anna's house. Kitchen. Dusk. The house smells like lemon and roast chicken. Anna cooked, not because she had to, but because it gave her hands something to do. Sophie sits at the kitchen table with a glass of iced tea. She's still, in her graduation dress, barefoot, hair pinned loosely. Her diploma leans against the counter like a forgotten prop. Derek stands near the sink, drying plates. He offered to help. It felt right. They haven't been this, in years, not since the affair, not since the unraveling. It's oddly peaceful, until Sophie breaks the silence. Sophie, are you two ever going to talk about it, or do we just keep pretending I didn't grow up in the aftermath of a landmine? Anna stops mid-motion. Derek exhales. Anna, we didn't want to poison you with the details. Sophie, you didn't need to. I lived in the fallout. The air goes still. This isn't anger, it's truth. The kind that's been simmering for years. Sophie, softer. I'm not asking you to be perfect, just honest. Finally, Anna sits down across from her. Anna, we failed you in some ways. I failed you. I was too hurt to speak, too proud to ask for help, and too afraid that if I admitted how broken I was, you'd break too. Derek, and I destroyed something sacred, not just with Tess, but by lying. To you, to your mom, to myself. Sophie, so where does that leave us now? Derek looks at Anna. She doesn't look. Away this time, Anna. It leaves us here, still choosing to show up. They don't promise healing, or reconnection, or rebuilding, just showing up. Scene, Sophie's room. Later. That night, she opens her suitcase, filled with books, letters, and the unopened gift from Tess. She unwraps the box slowly. The pen is beautiful, heavy, real. She finds the card hidden underneath, just 3 words in Tess's familiar hand. Write your way. Sophie holds the pen like a sword. Then she turns to her notebook. June 4th. Today I graduated. But the truth is, I've been surviving my family for years. And maybe, finally, I'm ready to stop just surviving. Scene, Anna's bedroom. Simultaneously, Anna rereads a short story Sophie published last semester. A thinly veiled piece about a girl whose parents buried their sins in polite conversation. She doesn't cry. She just reads. Twice. Then she opens her laptop. For the first time in 2 years, she writes, "Forgiveness is not a gift you give to others. It's the shovel you use to dig yourself out." Scene, Derek's apartment. Later. That week, he returns to his place alone. He hasn't dated seriously since the divorce. He pours himself a drink, opens his old photography portfolio, and finds the photo of Anna he took the week they got married. She's laughing, careless, sunlight in her hair. He smiles, then sets it down, not as a monument to what was lost, but as proof it once existed. Final montage. Sophie moves into a modest apartment in the city. She teaches creative writing on Tuesdays and waits tables at a jazz bar on weekends. Anna self-publishes a collection of short stories called Paper Scars. One of them is about a girl who forgave her father without forgetting. Derek volunteers as a mentor at a community darkroom, teaching teens how to develop film. Tess opens a small studio near the waterfront and starts an anonymous blog called The Third Chair, writing essays about betrayal, silence, and the cost of being the other woman. None of them are whole, none of them are unbroken, but they are awake now. Final lines from Sophie's journal. There are no clean endings, just the choice to tell the truth, even when it costs you comfort, to love, even when it's messy, and to leave some wounds open, because that's how the light gets in.